Ben Larson has it all: the job, the wealth, the access. He seems to be the perfect corporate executive, except his entire identity is fake. Incorporated is the story of how far one man will go to find the woman he lost, even if it means becoming the monster he's fighting against. The higher he rises in the corporate ladder, the closer he gets to losing everything, including himself. What starts as a rescue mission becomes a dangerous balancing act between love, power, and survival in a world where even memories can be rewritten. With Matt Damon and Ben Affleck as some of the series' executive producers, we welcome you to Incorporated, where ambition looks a lot like rebellion. In 2074, the world's gone corporate. Climate change severely damages the planet, governments collapse, and mega corporations take over. 90% of the globe now runs under company rules. If lucky, you get to live in a walled-off green zone, where it is safe, clean, and heavily surveilled. If not, you're stuck surviving in the chaotic red zone. Ben Larson seems like one of the lucky ones. He's a rising employee at SPIGA Biotech, one of the biggest and most powerful corporations. He's got a high-tech house in the green zone, a self-driving car, and a beautiful wife named Laura. As it happens, Laura is a doctor who works in cosmetic design, where the ultra-rich literally sculpt youth back onto their faces. She's also the daughter of Elizabeth Krauss, the head of SPIGA's US operations, where Ben also works. Their life is about to get perfect because they've just received permission to have a baby, a rare privilege in a world where every life is corporate property. But as we all know, there's no rose without a thorn. At work, Ben develops Everclear, a mind-reading software meant to extract thoughts and dreams. It's cutting-edge tech, but still not accurate enough to satisfy Julian Morse, SPIGA's ruthless head of security. With Julian demanding more from their team, Chad Peterson, the senior vice president of counterintelligence tech and Ben's superior, overpromises results. Later, in the privacy of his office, Ben uses a tech to search for a woman. He discovers Elena, the woman he truly loves, who vanished years ago. His search leads him to believe she is alive and working in the exclusive club called Arcadia. It is then that we learn that Ben's real name is Aaron. Outside the walls, Elena's brother, Theo, struggles to survive. He gets caught selling cigarettes by Terrence's gang in their turf and is later forced to do cage fights. Meanwhile, Ben shares his discovery with Jonathan Hendrick, an HR employee in SPIGA. Like Ben, Hendrick hacked into the system to live in the green zone. Their only difference is that Hendrick is there to embrace his new life. Despite Hendrick's advice and warning, Ben plans to reach and take Elena back. To accomplish that, Ben needs a promotion, which means someone high up in SPIGA must fall. As he makes plans, he talks with his wife, Laura. When he says he's going to the red zone, Laura starts to panic, but she pretends to be fine as they end the call. Her panic worsens, leading to harm. However, it is exactly what snaps her from her trauma. Soon, she returns to normal and quickly heals the wound on her arm before meeting a client. After a long day at work, Ben and some co-workers head to a club in the red zone. Among them is Chad Peterson, the senior VP of counterintelligence tech. Once at the club, Ben makes sure to get Peterson drunk and steals a sample of Peterson's blood. While out there in the red zone, Ben slips away from the party and visits Elena's brother, Theo. He tells him that he has found Elena, and she's now part of an executive club called Arcadia. Theo, of course, doesn't take this well, but there's nothing he can do. The next day at work, Ben checks out an anti-riot tech called the Whistler. He uses this to worsen Peterson's hangover. Taking advantage of the moment Peterson's gone, Ben hacks into his files using the blood sample he took. He then plants stolen data on Peterson's system, framing him for espionage. By the time security catches Peterson during end-of-day scans, Ben's already one step ahead. Julian hauls Peterson away for interrogation. In a flashback, we meet young Aaron, the real Ben Larson, scraping by in a grim FEMA refugee camp after his father's chosen death. Smart, desperate, and resourceful, he hacks a retinal scanner to steal extra rations and catches the eye of another survivor, Reed, now Jonathan Hendrick. The two become partners in small-time cons, hustling to stay alive. It's also in this camp where Aaron meets young Elena, the girl who changes everything. However, circumstances are breaking them apart, and they can only promise to reunite in the future. Before parting, Elena gives Aaron her mother's ring on a necklace. This is how Aaron, now Ben, continues to fulfill a childhood promise. At present, Peterson's case isn't as clean-cut as Ben hoped. Everyone gets investigated about what happened, and Ben even has to hide his makeshift device in the interrogation room just to avoid suspicion. Meanwhile, down in the quiet room, the ex-executive swears to SPIGA's head of security, Julian Morse, that he's innocent. He even tells Julian that the wild red zone trip was Ben's idea. Things get riskier when Julian discovers that Ben recently checked out the Whistler, the same tech Ben used to set up Peterson. Ben claims he only took it on Peterson's request, but before Julian can dig deeper, the investigation gets shut down without consulting Julian. Peterson's memories are wiped by the order of Elizabeth Krauss, head of SPIGA's US operations, and Ben's mother-in-law. She claims she gave the order to calm the panicking shareholders. While Ben scrambles to keep his cover intact, Peterson's family suffers. His wife and their children are detained, and Laura tries to support them by asking her mother for help. As it happens, Elizabeth is the very person who made the policy. However, Elizabeth insists that her hands are tied. In the end, Mrs. Peterson can only tearfully let her children go to Green Zone foster parents, hoping they'll at least have a better future. As for Peterson himself, he gets thrown into the Red Zone with a broken mind. Elsewhere in the Red Zone, Elena's brother Theo rises as a cage fighter under the ruthless Terrence. He's promised a shot at a talent scout from the Green Zone, possibly leading to the executive club where his sister might be, but Terrence plays dirty. When Theo wins a brutal fight against a friendly opponent named Saeed, Terrence ends Saeed in cold blood and claims Theo as his new ticket. Back in the Green Zone, Ben finally relaxes, thinking the danger's past, but then he notices the surveillance device he concealed during his interrogation is gone. Unknown to him, it's now in the hands of his ambitious rival Roger. In Inazagi, loyalty starts early. Inside the sleek walls of Inazagi Corporation, even the cartoons are propaganda. Kids watch an animated officer tell them that if they hear something yucky, they must inform Officer Bucky behind them. Inazagi's SVP of Global Resources, Diana Walters, watches as young children repeat after the show. Meanwhile, Hendrik informs Ben that a new escort at Arcadia was recently shot trying to escape. Fearing it might be Elena, Ben tries to come up with a plan to find out the escort's identity. In SPIGA, Inazagi delegates are coming for a deal. Among them is the SVP of Global Resources, Diana Walters. As she greets Elizabeth, she mentions a Robert Frost quote about having miles to go before sleep. Elizabeth easily deciphers this as a code that Walters wants to defect to SPIGA. To make this possible, Elizabeth consults with the Counterintelligence Tech Division. She motivates them to think up a plan to prove themselves worthy of Peterson's position. Ben quickly comes up with a plan to fake Walter's death by exchanging her body with the dead girl from Arcadia. Though surprised that Ben has such intel, Elizabeth approves it. With a plan set up, Elizabeth organizes a secret meeting with Walters in the bathroom. There, Walters reveals a dangerous secret to Elizabeth Krauss. Inazagi is developing a super seed that can grow crops in deserts, a breakthrough that could destroy SPIGA's monopoly. Walters also reveals she's pregnant, and she doesn't want her child to grow up as another corporate pawn. Sealing the deal, they quickly push with the plan. During a tense negotiation meeting, Walters loses consciousness. Ben pretends to be a medic, claiming Walters just had a cardiac arrest. This forces the other Inazagi delegate to disarm the tech that prevents her from defecting. While in the elevator, Ben and Julian swap the dead escort with Walters. Using his coding skills, Ben transfers the tech identifying Walters to the dead escort. By the time the elevator doors open to Inazagi's team, they have successfully revived Walters and made the Inazagi believe she is dead. Even though the plan works, Ben couldn't identify the dead escort. The dead escort was surgically altered to look like Walters before he could see her face. Searching through the dead escort's belongings, he finds something that breaks him. The ring Elena once gave him, the same one he returned to her 6 years ago. Believing she's gone, Ben brings the ring to Theo in the Red Zone. But when Theo touches it, the ring scans his DNA and activates a hidden message: Elena is alive. And the dead escort with her ring is a different person. Meanwhile, Laura faces her own moral test. Her housekeeper Rachel is caught smuggling expensive, precious bacon. Shocked, Laura confronts her, only to learn Rachel did it to get medical help for a sick child. Laura insists on treating the kid, but her kindness spirals out of control when dozens of sick residents show up at the gate. The guards respond harshly, reminding Laura how easily compassion can be crushed in the Green Zone. Elsewhere, Ben's rival Roger works with a Red Zone hacker to unlock the mysterious device he stole from Ben. However, the hacker doesn't want cash. She wants a show. At her instruction, Roger chases and eats a live rat just to earn her help. After recording his actions, she finally gives him a coded leaf to bypass the device's protocol. Later, Roger returns to the office and finally sees what's in the device. The screen reveals Ben's secret surveillance of Elena. Seeing this, Roger smirks and coughs up some remaining hair. Years before she became a ghost in Ben's memories, Elena was just a bright, hopeful student dreaming of a better life. But those dreams come crashing down when a SPIGA recruiter visits with the bad news that her scholarship's been revoked. But there's still some good news. SPIGA offers her a job as an escort for their elite executive clubs. Elena's father sees through the euphemism, pulls a weapon, and chaos erupts. Aaron, aka Young Ben, steps in to avoid the bloodshed. This makes the people from SPIGA back off. Determined to build a future anyway, Aaron hustles. With Theo's help, he pulls off a risky hacking job, earning enough for them. He rushes to tell Elena about the money, but she surprises him. She just got her scholarship back after the original winner was caught cheating. She wants to stay to chase her dream, but their conversation is cut short when gunfire shreds the diner around them. flames swallowing their money and their future in seconds. In the present, Laura now wants to have their baby naturally at Ben's urging, but SPIGA denies insurance coverage when genetic tests reveal Ben's exposure to malaria and lead poisoning, which are scars from his real past in the red zone. He lies to his wife about how he got those, and Laura continues to trust him. However, Ben's desperate to stall and secretly takes birth control patches that Hendrik provides. Hendrik also warns Ben that Roger has his missing device. Elsewhere, Roger's hungry for promotion and determined to find out who the mystery woman on Ben's recordings is. So he seeks help from his wealthy father, George Kaplan. Roger's digging soon leads him to a heavily redacted file on Elena, but just accessing it plants a tracker on his own phone. Now Ben is watching him. Meanwhile, SPIGA's newest defector, Diana Walters, settles into her new identity, feeding Elizabeth Krauss intel about a scientist who's developed salt-tolerant crops, and also the key to conquering the world's barren lands. Out in the red zone, Theo continues to be a cage fighter, but soon faces a brutal moral test. Terrence tasks him with crippling a young basketball prodigy for money. He hesitates, but ends up doing it anyway. Later, Roger calls in Elena with his father's help. Noticing his movements, Ben tracks Roger to a hotel just in time to see Elena, alive and radiant, stepping into an elevator with security personnel. She's on her way to meet Roger. Elena, who's now called Anastasia, meets with Roger. Roger tries to pry into her past, but only gets lies. When he mentions Ben Larson, she honestly denies knowing him. The tension between Roger and Elena escalates until Ben, secretly listening from below, hacks the hotel's system to trigger an evacuation and indirectly rescue her. Just to see Elena, Ben almost misses his Everclear presentation. Though he wasn't able to finish the actual Everclear, Ben manages to recover by selling the idea to the higher-ups. He packages Everclear as a mind-reading tech to SPIGA's board, promising to deliver it soon. Elsewhere, Laura undergoes post-trauma therapy, reliving an attack in the red zone through simulation. Her therapist wants her to process emotions, not fight back, but Laura refuses to be told how to heal and storms out. Later, Julian visits Laura at home and shares a story from his past about betrayal during the oil wars, urging her not to let one event define her. Returning to the past, Elena's father, Gustavo, watches helplessly as his diner burns down. The fire department refuses to help since the bills are unpaid. Gustavo blames Aaron for the fire, believing local crime boss Tino ordered it as revenge for not getting a share of the hacking job that earned Aaron 20 grand, money now gone up in smoke. When Aaron confronts Tino, the man denies everything and warns him never to threaten him again. Soon after, Gustavo is sent to debtor's prison, sick and helpless. Desperate to save him, Elena accepts the offer to work as an escort for SPIGA's executive clubs. The deal clears her father's debts, but it costs her everything else. When Aaron finds out, he's devastated, especially when Elena tells him that if he really loves her, he needs to forget her. Later, the recruiter smugly reveals she orchestrated the fire herself to push Elena into her new role. Learning this breaks Aaron. He gets drunk and runs into Reed, who's now living comfortably in the green zone under his new identity as Hendrik. Aaron pressures him into reopening the same back door that got Reed to the green zone. Hendrik reluctantly agrees, helping Aaron reinvent himself as Ben Larson, finally explaining how he became the man he is now. Back to the present, Roger tracks down Elena's father, Gustavo, and manipulates him with false news that Elena is dead. Using Gustavo's grief, he confirms Ben's true identity. Soon, Roger confronts Ben at the burned-out diner, recording their conversation. But when things go south, Ben strangles Roger in desperation, and with Theo's help, Ben stages Roger's disappearance. Theo later finds Gustavo waiting outside his apartment, begging for forgiveness. Theo refuses, blaming him for everything. Meanwhile, Ben returns home, exhausted and haunted. He burns the evidence of what he did, washes up, and lies beside Laura, wide awake under the weight of his secrets. The series' spotlight shifts to Laura, and the mystery of what really happened to her 8 years ago in the red zone. At that time, Laura sneaks away from her high-security green zone life for a wild night at a red zone club. She's out with friends, determined to feel normal for once. But the bodyguards her mother, Elizabeth, assigned are ruining the mood to shake them off her back. Laura slips outside and makes out with a guy named Bradley. However, it turns out to be a terrible decision. Bradley knocks her out and drags her to the grim apartment he shares with his sister Kim, their mother, and a young nephew. Kidnapping green zone girls is their business, and Bradley soon contacts Elizabeth, demanding 50,000 black coins. Luckily, Laura gave a fake name, so they don't realize who she really is, at least not yet. SPIGA's security team assumes this is a small-time abduction. The head of security at that time wanted to follow corporate protocol and pay the ransom. Even though those operations rarely end well for the victim, Elizabeth refuses, forcing Bradley to prove he's serious by cutting off Laura's ear. Despite having an ear gone, Laura somehow bonds briefly with Kim, but when they see a photo of Laura's mother in the news, everything now makes sense. They realize Laura is Elizabeth Krause's daughter, so they increase the ransom to $5 million. Soon, Elizabeth pays the ransom, but she also sends Julian Morse to retrieve Laura quietly before SPIGA's team wipes out everyone involved. Julian tracks the kidnapper's location with help from shady cops and surveillance drones. He overhears one of the kidnappers warning that SPIGA will kill them all to tie up loose ends, and to stop that, they must convince SPIGA that Laura is already dead. Meanwhile, Laura frees herself with the same scalpel used to cut her and attacks Kim in panic. When Bradley storms in, Julian bursts through the door and shoots before the kidnapper can fire. As Julian leads Laura out, SPIGA's official team arrives. As they leave, Laura sees the child crying over the bodies. Back at SPIGA, Laura confronts her mother, accusing her of valuing protocol over family. Julian urges Elizabeth to tell Laura the truth about her father's death, but Elizabeth insists it's better if her daughter hates her. Instead, she then promotes Julian to head of security, a position he never wanted, since all he wants is to get transferred. Later, Laura's doctor heals her wounds instantly with an advanced healing spray, inspiring her to pursue medicine for her future. In the present, Laura musters up her courage and revisits the red zone to check on the sick child her old housekeeper mentioned before. Meanwhile, Ben's own plans resume. He gives Theo Roger's watch, which they use as bait for Inazagi's agents. Back to Laura, she visits Rachel's neighborhood to check on the little girl. The child's previous surgery was conducted by a street doctor, but now infection has set in. Laura uses her advanced tech to heal the girl and even provides antibiotics. When she is about to leave, half the building lines up with their own illnesses. Before she knows it, her compassion kicks in despite the risk. Then comes Goran, a self-proclaimed boss in the red zone. He confronts Laura, but instead of threatening her, he makes an unexpected offer. Goran offers her his space to open a small clinic for the residents of the red zone. With her trauma making her anxious, Laura hesitates. But after thinking it through and knowing what kind of man he is, she agrees to a trial run. For the first time, Laura feels like she's doing something good, not just pampering the green zone elite. Meanwhile, at SPIGA, Ben finalizes his Everclear project, a device designed to read memories and more. He tests it on himself, confirming its power. Ben even confides in Hendrik about his dark secret regarding what really happened to Roger. Unfortunately, Roger's old wristwatch suddenly powers on. Since Theo sold it to Inazagi agents, it now pings inside their system. The news reaches the higher-ups of SPIGA, and Julian assumes that Roger defected. This may only mean that Inazagi already knows about SPIGA's plans to extract Sanjay Maharaj, the scientist who's developing salt-tolerant crops. With this assumption, SPIGA must act fast. Julian abducts Philip Brill, an Inazagi executive, and Ben hooks him up to Everclear. They dig through Philip's mind, but only see an image of a white horse. Seeing it will take time, Julian leaves Ben to search through Philip's mind for any answers. After some time, Ben figures out Sanjay's location by focusing on the white horse image. He soon deciphers that the scientist is in a facility in Whitehorse, Yukon Territory, Canada. After this discovery, he negotiates a way to save Philip in exchange for a way to get him out. Ben uses the Everclear to find Philip's shameful memory and another device to wipe it from his mind. Later, to buy some time in getting to the scientist's location, Ben suggests using the tech on Philip, only this time to wipe his memory of the interrogation. Elizabeth allows this, so SPIGA places Philip back in the red zone. They stage it as a drunken mistake, leaving Philip to wake up disoriented and drenched in alcohol. Philip assumes he relapsed, checks in with Inazagi, and unknowingly keeps SPIGA's cover intact. Meanwhile, Roger's stolen device is found in his office and is now in Julian's hands. Julian reviews the device, not knowing it is actually Ben's. On it, he discovers footage of Elena, so he calls her in for questioning. She stays composed, deflecting every probe, and even Ben bursts in mid-meeting to stall for her. When Julian presses again, Elena cleverly lies, saying Roger's questions were about Elizabeth Krause. Elsewhere, Theo's cage-fighting career keeps climbing, and his latest opponent is a massive, gene-modded brawler. Terrence, ever the businessman, believes in Theo's skills, but decides to enhance the odds with a chemical boost. With it, Theo wins easily, but descends into an unhinged frenzy afterward. He is barely calmed down by one of Terrence's escorts. The Red Zone fight life may be paying off, but it's obviously taking its toll on Theo. Later, shocking news hits. Roger's car is found, with his decayed body still inside. Julian suspects this is actually an inside job and decides to interrogate everyone without exception. When Ben learns his access to the Everclear device has been revoked, panic sets in. Knowing something wrong must have happened, Ben prepares for the worst and makes a horrifying decision. He creates another Everclear device outside the green zone. With Hendrik's help, he plans to erase Aaron and every memory tied to the man he once was. At SPIGA, Julian continues to investigate Roger's death. It is then that another board member, and Elizabeth's rival, David Gates, tries to lure Julian into working for him instead. Meanwhile, Hendrik's risky procedure to erase only Aaron somehow works. Ben's memory is wiped clean of Roger's death, and his new self passes Julian's Everclear interrogation with with no problem. However, Ben makes it problematic for himself when he offers to help Julian investigate the crime he committed. Using GPS data from Roger's car, Ben traces the route to the burned-down restaurant once owned by Elena's father. He and Julian find a collar pin, but no footage of what transpired there. To find evidence, Ben utilizes his tech skills to recreate the entire crime scene, using weather data to map sound and wind patterns. He does this, not knowing that he is dooming himself. This new Ben, without the Aaron, is calmer, more grounded, and strangely better adjusted. He's affectionate with Laura, even leaving work early to reconnect with her. He also surprises her with a new ring, one that looks suspiciously similar to the one Elena has. In the red zone, Laura's clinic is officially open for business. She and Rachel, her former housekeeper, receive a patient with a malfunctioning artificial heart. Not thinking it is a black market product, Laura contacts the manufacturer to have it rebooted. The manufacturer claims it is not registered, and they'll proceed with legal procedures. Laura drops the call and decides to take the matter into her own hands. Since the tech can't be rebooted remotely, she reboots it manually, saving the young man's life. Nearby, Julian visits Goran, the local boss and Laura's unlikely ally. It turns out that Julian and Goran were once soldiers together. Julian asks for his help investigating Roger's murder, and Goran agrees. Elsewhere, Theo's living fast and falling apart. His cage-fighting fame comes with drugs, alcohol, and non-stop chaos. His boyfriend, Anthony, is done with his rough, erratic behavior, but Theo's new fling, the woman who once subdued him after a chemical-fueled match, is into it. Later, Theo stumbles into Terrence's office completely high, demanding 2 full doses of his chemical boost before his next fight. Soon, the match starts rough, but once the chemicals kick in, Theo demolishes his opponent, finishing him off in front of a roaring crowd. In a short while, the adrenaline fades, leaving Theo horrified by what he's done. At SPIGA, Julian updates Elizabeth that Ben's clear and that Gates is gunning for her. Not entirely surprised, Elizabeth plans to immediately extract the scientist, Sanjay Mirage, hoping it'll cement her power and push Gates out. Hendrik, meanwhile, is tempted to erase Aaron permanently by destroying the neural drive that holds Aaron's memories. But then a message pops up, a fail-safe from Ben warning that if Aaron isn't restored within 72 hours, Hendrik's true identity will be exposed to SPIGA. Hendrik tries to hack the timer, only for it to shorten. Finally, Julian calls Ben for an update on his 3D reconstruction of the murder scene. The render finishes, and Ben sees himself carrying Roger's lifeless body. Ben stares at the image, confused and horrified with no memory of what he's seeing. Ben freezes at the sight. He runs facial recognition and identifies his accomplice, Theo, an up-and-coming cage fighter. But with his Aaron memories erased, Ben doesn't recognize him. He simply makes excuses to Julian, claiming he's having trouble with the rendering. Determined to learn the truth, Ben soon tracks Theo down in the red zone. Upon meeting, Theo insists Ben isn't who he thinks he is, even showing him a video message from Elena. The video doesn't trigger anything, but the ring used to project it definitely does. It's the same kind he just bought for Laura. Digging further, Ben spots Hendrik in an old red zone photo with him and Theo, realizing HR guy Hendrik was once Reed. Following an address found in his GPS, Ben and Theo head to it, but not before running into Chad Peterson. The previous SPIGA employee Ben once framed Peterson's life is in ruins, and seeing Ben triggers something in his memory. Later, Ben and Theo discover the place of their operation. There, they find Hendrik trying to cancel the blackmail failsafe that can expose his true identity. Seeing that Ben already has an idea of what's happening, Hendrik hands over the neural drive with Aaron's memories, but warns Ben not to restore it. Theo argues otherwise because Elena needs Aaron, not Ben. Torn, Ben storms off with the drive. After a long night drinking with Laura, Ben soon makes his decision. By morning, Aaron is back. He's ready to resume his mission to rescue Elena, even if it destroys everything he's built. Back at the top, Elizabeth's extraction of Sanjay Mirage goes south when Inazagi retaliates. She orders a drone strike that wipes out everyone, including the scientist and SPIGA's own team. Unexpectedly, the SPIGA chairman praises her, horrifying both Gates and Julian. Later, the two meet up, and they secretly agree that Elizabeth needs to go. After their discussion, Gates reveals the painful truth to Julian that Elizabeth never sent Julian's transfer request years ago. In the red zone, Theo is burdened with guilt and attends the memorial for his dead opponent. There, he meets the sister, who is a nun. Unexpectedly, she comforts Theo, who cries and breaks down in her arms. Later, he returns home with every intention of leaving everything behind. However, Terrence is there to tell him of an incoming green zone fight, and there's no backing out. At SPIGA, Ben manipulates the rendering and investigations data to frame Chad Peterson for Roger's death, hence shielding shielding Theo's identity at the same time. Julian doubts the results since Peterson's memories were wiped, but Ben brushes it off. Later, Ben confronts Hendrik, admitting Aaron is back. Not wanting to be part of any of it, Hendrik cuts ties with him entirely. Elsewhere, Hendrik's daughter Hazel stumbles upon strange tech hidden beneath the bed's floorboard. In the red zone, Laura faces chaos at her clinic. Supplies go missing, patients die, and one disturbing case shakes her faith completely. But it doesn't end there. Elizabeth drops by to demand that Laura shut down the clinic. As they argue, Elizabeth admits that Laura's father didn't die as a hero. She reveals how Laura's father tried to defect, and Elizabeth had him eliminated. Back in SPIGA, Ben gets called in by Julian and Elizabeth to a secure room. Before speaking, they verified Ben's identity using his blood sample. After it is confirmed, Elizabeth delivers the news that Ben got promoted to the 40th floor. That same night, Ben comes home and looks for Laura. However, someone else is waiting for him, and he gets knocked out. After some time, Ben regains consciousness and finds himself captive by people who are demanding the tech used on Philip Brill. Ben carefully observes his surroundings as he refuses to talk. Just then, Laura comes home, and they threaten Ben with Laura's life. Ben notices that Laura seems off and isn't wearing the ring he recently gave her. Recognizing the signs, he refuses to answer the questions and swears loyalty to SPIGA, despite the threat to Laura's life. With that, Laura is shot in the head. Ben shakes in horror until he realizes it's all a simulation. It is a test designed to measure his loyalty to SPIGA, and Elizabeth couldn't be prouder of his unwavering devotion, even if it meant watching a fake version of her daughter die. With that, Ben officially joins the 40th floor as the new senior VP of counterintelligence tech. But Ben doesn't plan to stay long. He's still set on escaping with Elena. To make that happen, he approaches Philip Brill. The Inazagi executive whom SPIGA previously took Ben reminds Philip of their promise and offers a trade. The Everclear program in exchange for the extraction of 2 people. With such tech, Philip accepts. Later, Ben finally visits Arcadia and reunites with Elena, only to find she isn't thrilled to see him. She's disturbed by how far he's gone, including marrying someone else. Heartbroken but determined, Ben leaves, unaware that Elena and one of Arcadia's maids are secretly plotting revenge against the elites, and see Ben as a useful pawn. Elsewhere, Theo grows closer to the sister of his dead opponent. He's fascinated by her teachings on transcendence through detachment, interpreting it as an acceptance of death. That night, Hendrik shows up at Ben's home. He's on the run after Hazel accidentally exposed his past by bringing his tech to school. Hendrik can't take her over the wall, and Ben convinces him that SPIGA will take care of her. After saying goodbye, Hendrik disappears into the night. Once Hendrik is gone, Ben calls Philip and moves up the extraction date. Meanwhile, Julian's team tracks down Chad Peterson in the red zone, but the encounter turns deadly when Peterson, delusional and terrified, charges the squad and is shot down. At the clinic, Laura discovers the thief behind the stolen supplies. It was the young man whose life she once saved. Pushed by Goran to show strength, Laura makes the brutal decision of having the young man's hand removed as a warning. Later, Theo's fight is on. Unlike before, he refuses to take the chemical boost before the fight and loses. After such a terrible loss, Theo bravely faces the consequences of his actions. But when Terrence threatens Theo's boyfriend, Anthony, Theo immediately breaks down. He bargains for their safety, offering his connection with a SPIGA executive high up the ladder. Theo gives Terrence Ben Larson's name. Meanwhile, Laura gains a sense of courage from the previous night's experience and willingly visits her mother, Elizabeth. Laura confronts her, speaking of how they are more similar than she expected. She then vows to keep the clinic open no matter what, even if it means going against her own mother. Elsewhere, the night of the extraction arrives. Philip's surprised to find that the 2 people he's helping to get out don't even include Ben. Instead, Hendrik and his daughter will take the spots that Ben worked so hard to get. After handing the Everclear tech, Philip warns that he'll make Hendrik and his daughter disappear if Ben threatens him again. Ben promises to bring him something bigger next time. Philip merely reminds him to do it fast, or he'll have it when SPIGA learns they have the Everclear tech. With Hendrik and Hazel safe, Ben returns to Arcadia. He apologizes to Elena, promising that now, with higher clearance, he can gather even greater things to secure their future. This time, Elena softens, and the 2 finally reconnect. The next day, Ben and Laura move into their new luxury home, which comes with Ben's new position. Soon, Laura discovers she's pregnant. As the season closes, Ben looks outside the window of his new office on the 40th floor. And that's how Incorporated ends. We only get 1 season for the entire series, leaving us with questions to which we can only imagine the answers. Overall, climbing the ladder only means a harder fall. Ben finally achieves the title and power that come with it, but he's not free. He's just another pawn in a prettier cage. Meanwhile, Laura's crossing lines she swore she'd never touch. Elena's got her own secret rebellion brewing, and Theo just sold out the man trying to save his sister. If there's season 2, how do you think the story will progress? Drop your answers below, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next one.